Out here in the prairie, fire is as natural as rain. And at the Rick Evans Grandview Prairie and Conservation Center in southern Arkansas, I met with a team of professional fire starters to find out why fire is so vital to this habitat.
There's a lot of species that are dependent on prairie ecosystems and fire. And so if we can restore remnant areas with fire and thinning and try to enhance or improve upon the existing prairies we have, then we can carry those species and keep the biodiversity here in the blacklands that have been here for 12,000 years.
So what these guys here have done is light this prescribed fire, and what it does is it kills some of the invasive plants, some of the native trees and some of the non-native species of grass that have been encroaching onto this prairie. And in a year when this prairie grows back, it's healthier and stronger than it was before. Fire suppression tactics throughout the 20th century, coupled with agriculture development, thoroughly depleted the prairie ecosystem that once dominated the West. Now state agencies like the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission and nonprofits like the Nature Conservancy are working to save these areas and the wildlife that thrives in it.
We have a site in southeast Arkansas called Warren Prairie, and when we started burning out there, there was, I think they had 7 Henslow sparrow, which is small, kind of olive green, kind of a drab little bird, but a good indicator of pretty healthy prairie ecosystems. After 3 years of burning, they went back. 76 birds were using this site.
Think of it like a constant battle for land between the prairie and the forest. The forest is always trying to move into the prairie, and left unattended, the forest will eventually take over. So historically, fire acted in the prairie's defense, keeping the tree line at bay and giving native grasses the space they needed to grow.
When we first started burning out here, this was dominated by Bermuda grass, which is a non-native warm season grass, and fescue, which is a cool season non-native grass. And this is just from 2 burns. We've really...
and it was always here.
It was just laying dormant because the other grasses were out competing it. We put fire back in the system. We actually got this huge explosion of Indian grass.
Now Indian grass and other native herbaceous plants like big blue stem are flourishing. And while a fire started by a lightning strike or Native Americans hundreds of years ago may have burned for weeks and encompassed thousands of acres, today it takes a well-devised plan and a team of highly skilled experts to set a controlled fire.
Today we'll be burning the north unit, which is about 80 acres of Fuel Model 3, tall grass prairie.
As Melnichuk takes his team through the day's plan, he carefully notes what dangers to expect, and not all of them come from fire.
There's venomous snakes in the unit, insects, stinging poisonous insects and arthropods, exterior and a little bit of interior barbed wire fencing, and there's a couple of erosion scars, just so be careful with the ATVs. Okay, well let's do a radio check and we'll head down to drop point 5 and get started.
From there it's off to the prairie, where they'll do one last check for proper conditions before setting the blaze.
You're doing a prescribed burn under controlled conditions, and wildfires happen under conditions that aren't necessarily able to control. And so by lighting a prescribed fire with understanding the fire weather, the wind, the relative humidity, and the temperature of the day, that gives us tools to help us make more informed decisions about what's going to happen throughout the day.
They use a drip torch to light the fire, and minutes later it's underway, fueled both by live and dead grasses. Meanwhile, it's top killing some of the encroaching trees and shrubs. Top killing means exactly that. The fire kills away the part of the tree that you see. The roots remain alive beneath the soil, but it'll take a few years for them to grow back to this height. How often would you have to burn this prairie?
We have to burn this about every other year. As a matter of fact, we've been burning this same prairie annually to get it restored over time for the last 3 or 4 years. But then in a few seasons, probably next year, we might wait a year or so.
About 3 hours later, the burn is nearly done. With rain, some of the grasses will start to grow back quickly. And by next spring, this scorched earth will be a revived prairie once again. From Arkansas, for Discovery News, I'm Jorge Ribas.